And it's really concerning to me when I see, and I'm somebody who takes a lot in. I like to sit and observe. I try to take everything in. But what I realized over the last 8 years is that people are liars. They just don't know they're liars. So, not everybody, but most people lie about stuff. So, like, we've had a lot of people that come to our church that feel like they've given up so much for Christ. I've given up so much for Jesus, right? Even the way you say it is like, I've given up everything for him. And what we're doing is we're lying about how much we really want that success, but we're like really making a sacrifice for Christ. Well, all that, I think that's very normal for young believers. I think it's okay. I think there's a place that we get to when we encounter him, when we meet him, that shows us our true hearts. And when we see our true hearts, we have the opportunity to repent.
Well, don't you think at least part of that is still loving the world?
For sure. It's not a part of it. It's fully. Yeah.
So wanting to be saved, but still loving the world.
Yes.
And only Christ can bring that.
That's right.
Separation.
That's right. And he's the only one that can reveal it to you. The world hypes you up. Be the best drummer you can be. You're amazing, anointed, gifted, whatever. I don't know. People just like, it's just like they just empty out as many adjectives as they can figure out about you and call it prophecy. And see, the thing is if you're open enough to it, it's quickly, the devil is just like, man, you're really good. And pretty soon you're like, I'm kind of doing it for the Lord, but I'm doing it. And here's the thing that's hard is that when Christ says, I want you to lay down your whole life for me, which is the most successful thing that we as people can do, is lay down our lives for Christ. That's the epitome of success. When we lay our lives down for Christ, and all of a sudden we don't have people tickling our itching ears, suddenly life is a little different. Because if you're not willing to take on the life of Christ, but we just lay down our life, that's a pretty sad, depressing place to live. And so I want to encourage you, what Paul says in 2 Timothy 4, verse 6, is, as for me, my life has already been poured out as an offering to God. The time of my death is near. You want to not choose success? You want to not live for people to pump you up? Pour out your life for Christ. Pour it all the way out for him. And there's no simple way to say how to do that. We can't give you the 12 steps with the 14 ways of the 21-day fast that you can do that you'll be poured out. The time of my death is near. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I have remained faithful.
It's a terrible thing to not work towards success, still wishing you could have it. Yeah. You know, we've had people, one girl in our church, she realized one day that she didn't really leave the world. It just didn't work out in the world.
Right.
So she sort of retreated here as a comfort for it having not worked out. So that's not the same thing as hating the world.
Yes.
And laying your life down. So then you bring feeling like you failed in the world to trying to be a success in the church. And that's like people who are afraid they can't make it in secular music, so they enter the Christian industry. And so much of that is a lot of what has polluted, not the only thing, but has really polluted the Christian industry, is so many people are not doing it for Christ. They're doing it for success that they are afraid they couldn't have in the world, so let's make a splash here and then cross over. That's been around as long as I remember anything being around. For a long time.
You're right. You're right.
And so unfortunately, I've even heard, pastors say, well, this is hard, but I don't know how to do anything else. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So many times people pastor churches because they have no idea how to make money otherwise. Right. So again, you have people doing it literally for money because there's no other way to make a living for their family. What would they do? So you've got people singing for success, preaching for success, and saying it's for God, and then people patterning their lives after them, following them as they're not following Christ.
Right.
But they don't know that.
Right. Right.
Because who knows the word? Not a lot of people.
Right.
You know.